Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
And so it's a 2-5 structure, which is match the stacks, but it's pretty early because you buy in for 1,000 when the game starts. So
match the stack again, man. We got to get that in LA, this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun game. So I've been listening to a lot of, your material, the fast track, pre-flop stuff, trying to tighten up. And so this one involves suited connectors with a 3-bet pot. So I'm in it. There's the guy that's the villain, pretty competent, probably the only real, I think, thinking player, tough player at the table. Everybody else is kind of loose. So I have 9 of clubs, 10 of clubs in middle position. Effective stacks are right at about 900.
Okay.
And so I raised to 20, which is the standard raise out of middle position. Everybody else had folded. So I opened for 20.
Yep.
Guy to my left in MP2, he's pretty loose, a little older gentleman, but just like to see lots of flops. He calls.
Okay.
And then the villain 3-bets to 115, and he's the one who's the competent thinking regular.
From what position?
From small blind, sorry.
From the small blind.
Yep. And so, I've been listening to your contact. In fact, I think it's your recent podcast from last week where you talked about getting squeezed, several times and having, some tough spots. So I was curious, definitely broadways I call with, suited broadways I'll call with. And then you were just talking about the last hand with the pocket pairs that you'll continue on with, or what the ranges are going to be. And so this guy, I know he's capable of, on occasion, 3-betting with like ace-5 suited,
sure,
as well
sure.
as the typical suited broadways in some pairs. So he has a pretty wide range relative to those super tight players that would be much more narrow. So
yeah, you would probably continue here with sort of a linear range here as a call. Kind of lean. I mean, we did this whole thing on this on Top Section. If anybody is a Top Section subscriber, or if anybody's listening, and I talked about the Top Section up on the front. It's our professional level subscription, and we actually talked all about this spot on the podcast from last week here. You are at a huge disadvantage because there's a guy to your left. Now, sometimes I'll exploitably disregard the guy to my left if I think that he is not going to call, but a lot of times what you'll find at this level is if you call, the guy behind you will also call. So you have to really tighten up in this spot, whereas if you had just made it 20 and the small blind 3-bet to 90, you could 9-10 suited would be one of the hands that you would probably want to defend with. Sort of in a math type of scenario, you're looking at your equity given your range versus your opponent range. Let's say your heads up, you're looking at your equity with your range versus your opponent's range and the pot odds that you're going to be getting. So, if he's 3-betting, say 10% of his hands, I'm just throwing out an example, you do need to defend, I want to say, depending on the sizing, like if he made it 4x, 1/3 to 2/3 of your hands, of your opening hands, depending on the sizing. And, the ones that you would continue would be like, ace, queen, ace, king, and then a lot of your suited broadways and your direct suited connectors, and pairs like maybe 7s plus. But now you've got a guy behind you. So you actually have to play much, much tighter here in this spot. Small blind 3-bet, obviously he could be squeezing, but he should be rather strong here. And I would probably defend with like king, queen suited, ace, jack suited, ace, queen, maybe 9s, 8s or 9s plus here. I think 9-10 of clubs with the guy behind you is a little bit too light. Plus he made it pretty large sizing too.
Yeah, I thought you might say that, and I wasn't certain because I didn't know either of the players other than just for maybe an hour or so. So I couldn't tell if the guy on my left was going to call. He didn't give me any indication. I was kind of stuck, going through exactly what you were talking about in my head. So I did make the call, and then to my dismay, the caller to my left, or the player to my left, also made the call.
Yeah, see, that's the issue. You know what I'm saying? And that's why like high cards here in this spot are much better. Again, if your heads up, and by the way, 5-6 suited is one of the magical hands that sort of performs actually as one of the best suited connectors that's not a suited Broadway, because of the interaction with the interaction of the board with 5-6 versus with the opponent's 3-betting range, if you follow me. You know what I mean? It doesn't really share the cards. So But this is really the issue because like it's going to be very hard for you to win with like top pair of 9s or 10s in a three-way pot. Much easier, obviously, in a heads-up pot, right?
Yep. Okay. Well.
Yeah.
That's the mistake. I was just kind of stuck, and sometimes your brain gets into lockdown a little bit as far as running through those scenarios. So I called, and so now we're going to the flop 3 ways to 345 in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting flop, and this is just going to get your thoughts on what to do on the play. It's 8 of clubs, Jack of clubs, Queen of diamonds.
Okay, so you flop a straight flush draw, basically?
Flop a straight.
Oh, you flopped a straight. Excuse me, straight with a flush draw, yeah.
Yeah, but then here's what flop a straight. The villain in the small blind leads for 160.
Okay.
And then, he's only got 600 left, and the pot is, 500, like 510 or whatever. So what do you want to do? What do I do here given this? I mean, is it just?
I mean, you can't really. You can't really screw this hand up. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yep.
In my newer play, I tend to be a little bit more mindful of my range versus my opponent's range. Where I would tell like somebody who 5 years ago, like I just like to fast play at these levels a ton. You know what I mean? Because there's action card killers, but if the small blind has like kings here and you raise with a guy behind you, he really shouldn't put it in. Like, I'm just trying to think of what he's betting here. Like, exactly. I guess aces too. And you also do have a guy behind you too, which you don't mind even coming in the pot. So, I mean, I can definitely see calling here. You know what I mean? I can see calling because if you raise, you're going to look so strong with a guy behind you, basically. You know what I mean?
That's what I did. I basically went paralyzed. I raised all in because I didn't know what else to do. Yeah, and then they both folded. So I just didn't know how to get. Because I guess if he continues on with clubs, I'm going to lose because he's only going to have an ace, a suited ace that would be a club if he continues. So I'm going to lose to that one unless it's the straight flush card. So I just didn't know exactly what to do to try and. So I think now in retrospect, when you say that calling, maybe the guy behind me calls also, and just see what the turn brings. But
I'm just interested to know, like you said the small blind was a decent player.
Yeah, he was.
Because I'm just wondering what he's bet folding there because he shouldn't really be betting, I don't think, as a C bet all that much. Well, I guess he's betting 160 into like 350, but boy, I don't know if he should be C betting there with like air, or even ace king. I guess he could have like ace 10 or something like that. That board is just so bad and so good for like the field callers. He can almost have it go check through, and try to bluff you guys off of small pairs later on in the hand. So it's interesting to see him bet there and then fold.
And I've been playing snug, and so he knew. I guess if he's putting me on the ranges of, jacks or queens as well potentially, then maybe just hero folds. I'm not sure. That's why I want to ask your opinion on just call and hope the next player calls as well, or what.
Yeah, I would probably just call in that spot because the guy's behind you. I would probably do more raising heads up than in this spot. I think just the stacks are just they're not really that deep, and you just sometimes give the guy maybe an excuse to barrel off, or he thinks that you're calling with a draw and he shoves a blank turn or something like that. So anyways, thanks for the call. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out CrushLivePoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.